Let's get started.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is another SitRep podcast, Progress in Our Hobby, and provided by me, Walkabout Games. What we're going to talk about is an intro into a series of videos on the battlefield. And while you are in my rec room now, my games room, with my gaming table. What we're going to discuss in this series of videos is how just making progress in painting our miniatures and building our armies is one thing, but having a battlefield to play with those miniatures on is also important. And what it is we're making progress in our hobby. We need somewhere to play with these miniatures. So a lot of people have asked me, if I don't have a room for a gaming table in my home, how do I go about doing that? So this video is going to talk about that. It's also going to talk about, if you do have a gaming table, how to make your table look really good. Maybe you're on a fixed budget, so we talk about those things and talk about solutions to fixed budgets and how to make our table look good. We're also going to talk about commercially provided scenery, battle mats, that kind of stuff as well. Right now you're seeing this is a 5x9 table. I'm lucky and I have a 5x9 table. Not everybody does. Most people, it might be 4x6 or 4x4, but I have a 5x9 table. I like using cloths. I'm a big proponent of using fabric in our hobby. And what I mean by that is, well, this is a blanket. It's a velour blanket that I've hit with spray paints and all kinds of other things. And it does leave, when you drive a toy tank across it, it's going to leave track marks in it. It's got enough of that velour to show off the tread marks and stuff like that. This is just a basic cloth. You could just play on this. But we want to add things to it. And how you can add things fairly cheaply, and they still look decent, is by using cloth and fabrics and other products like that. I'm going to show you some different products right now. But one of the things that I like using, and I've used since I was a kid for my gaming table, besides using a blanket or something like that, or a sheet, or felt. You can buy felt in large panels from the fabric store or the craft store. If you're in North America, you've got Michaels and stuff like that. I don't know what the European equivalents are, but I'm pretty sure they're out there. So I'm going to show you some different things. Like, I've talked about felt. We're going to show this for the first. Okay, you can buy sheets of felt in different sizes. You can get whole sheets that actually fit your entire table. Okay, so we can use felt for all kinds of different things. You can use black for asphalt, airfields, whatever you would like. Okay, you can use different colors of blue for rivers, creeks, ocean, and there's different colors of blue as well. We've got a light blue here, and then we also have a dark blue, okay? And it doesn't need to be necessarily felt. It can be any kind of fabric that looks like water, okay? And you can put them in combination with other pieces of fabric. This is like a tan color. I don't know if the lighting in here is picking that up, but you can also get it white for snow. I'm just going to move this out a little further so everybody can see it a little bit better. Okay, You can also use, like I said, if you don't have a blanket or a sheet that's green, you can buy large sheets of just plain green felt that can cover a table. Okay. Now, the first piece of felt that I showed you was black. Okay. Now with black felt, you can make things like I said, asphalt roads. Well, here's a piece of asphalt road with the lines down the center. You can buy commercially bought templates for different scales to spray crosswalks, roads. Lots of different manufacturers make them. Okay. If you're doing 15 mil, I know there's different companies that make 15 mil. There's 28 mil. And if you want, you can make your own templates out of cereal boxes and things. You just have to scale it to whatever size you want and then use that. And I used a regular spray paint to spray paint that white track on there. Okay? Other materials that you can use for asphalt. Okay? This is a shelf liner. Okay? You use it in, this is a workshop shelf liner. So it's a rubbery material. I'll bring it up closer here. Okay, it's a rubbery material. This stuff, I love this stuff. I've used it for asphalt, but I find, it looks okay. But I prefer the felt. Now, another use for this, and I'm going to flip this over, it's very easy. Cobblestone. Okay? If you're doing games where cobblestone, okay, you got different kind of patterns, and all I did was just dry brush it. And what you can also do is take a wash and put the wash over it. But it makes a good cobblestone pattern. Okay, so those are different materials that you can use to make your board look a lot cooler. Okay, another product that I use is, let's say you want to do some wheat fields. Well, this is made out of your standard household welcome mats, which you can get in, your home improvement stores and things like that. It is fairly cheap and it works really good to include that. Depending on the scale you're playing, I find I use it only in 28 mil games, but you can use it in bigger games. It just doesn't look right. I find everything's just it depends on the scale you're working in. Now, another thing I just missed was you can use brown felt for dirt roads. Now, with brown felt, there's a couple different methods of using brown felt and improving your roads and stuff like that. Like, I use brown felt all the time for dirt roads. There's different ways you can just lay it down like the way it is, but I like to do things like this, where I pull it out there, and it looks just a lot better. Okay, now what I've done here is I've taken the same width of brown felt and I've taken white glue and put it down the sides, and then I flocked it with green flocking. And then I've also done it, and I would suggest you do it before you put the flocking down, is I dry brushed over the center of the road with a lighter brown. There are other methods of doing this. You can use Vallejo's gel mud, gel earth, and you can actually paint that onto the center and you can get even more detail, and it is still flexible. And that is a key thing about using fabrics, because it is flexible. Okay? Now, with these things, you need to be aware of the fact that your table is, right at this point, totally flat. Okay? There's no contours to the surface and stuff like that. Okay? So, my suggestion is you build hills. Well, you could put the hills on top of the cloth, and that looks okay. But one of the key reasons I use felt is because of the fact that you can take hills that you make. These hills here are just made out of EVA foam from gym mats or workshop mats. Okay? Now, with these, all you have to do is lay them down on the table, slide them under the table, and contour and you have a hill. It's that simple. Okay? Another great reason to use the EVA foam, and I generally have EVA foam under the entire fabric cloth, is because I use trees that I only had one here handy that I haven't put the clump foliage on yet. But I use a tree, I just think this one doesn't have the clump foliage on it yet, but I attach tacks to the bottom. And then I can put them into the foam, not just in the hills, but also on the general surface, so that the hills are stuck to the surface. And if I'm playing a game, then I need to differentiate what's the outside edge of the woods. I'll cut a piece of some kind of fabric, like the green fabric, like this felt, and then I will stick it on the table where I want the woods, and then I will just pop the trees in with their tacks. Pretty simple. Like I said, this is a basic overview of what materials that I will be showing you how to use in setting up a table. Another material that I like using in setting up my tables is doormats. We've used this kind of mat for wheat fields and stuff. Now, these are plowed fields because it's a brown doormat and it's got little ruts in it. Another thing you can do is also take in on the tops of these, either paint them green or put the foam flocking, and you can put those on the rows. Looks like vegetation. Okay. Another kind of mat that I like using also, and you can cut these mats up to different sizes, is something like this. Okay. More fields. This stuff I find is great for smaller scales, 15 millimeter and below. Especially 10 millimeter. I'm finding it's really handy in 10 millimeter. Okay. So these are just some of the materials that I will be showing you how to use in their basic forms, and also making them a little bit more elaborate, like the dirt road. Just to decorate your table. I know with some larger rank and file games, you're not going to see a lot of buildings in it, but we'll show off the tabletop with your roads, your fields. I will show you some basic methods on doing some trees. I will also show you products that are commercially available. And we'll go and talk about different kinds of fabric mats. At the time of recording this, I've reached out to a few companies that do make fabric mats and fur mats and stuff like that, because there's another product, another fabric type that you can use, is the Fun Fur battle mats. They look like teddy bear fur, and you can use those, and that looks like different types of long grass and fields and stuff. And I've reached out to those companies. At the time of recording this video, I haven't heard from any of them at this point, but hopefully we'll hear back, and then I can show you some other companies' products. Another product that I can show you, if you're a naval gamer, you've got the blue felt and stuff like that, or blue fabrics. And then there's also the mats you can buy commercially that have sea, ocean on them. Another way of doing it is This is a 4x6 mat. It is actually a tablecloth. I think it's actually over 6 feet and a little bit over 4 feet. But it's basically a tablecloth for a picnic table. And it is fairly thin, but still sturdy. And it looks great. You know, things like that. White sheets for snow, white felt for snow. There's all kinds of different things you can do with fabric. I'd like to give a shout out to Tabletop Commanders, Curtis, who did a video on these roads doing the flocking and such. And it works really good. I highly recommend watching some of his videos. They're really good. So we're going to call it there. This is just an intro, just to explain what I'm going to talk about and use in this video series on how to improve your table, so you have a table that looks cool to play on, and how to explain, you know, options for you if you don't have a table at home. Okay, guys, have a great day. Thanks.